Thank you very much, Kurt. Thank you. You've set a good tone for us this morning. This is a good morning. It really is, because we are together in love and support for each other. And we welcome everyone to the Carbondale Unitarian Fellowship. This is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Our good news is our message of love, freedom, reason, respect, and justice for our human world and our earthly environment. I am Lorraine Wright. I'm a member of the board and of the Social Action Committee. And on behalf of all of us, we extend a special welcome to newcomers this morning. Please use the chat to introduce yourself if you want to. And also please stay for coffee hour, which follows our service. We can get to know you better there. Now let's try to wave to each other this morning just to say hello. If you would go to the gallery view, we can all say hello to each other that way. Yeah? Is it working? Let's see. There, good. Very nice. Good. I can't see all of you at once, so I'll be waiting to see you a little later, everybody who is here. Now we're going to do the chalice lighting. This month we're reflecting on healing, and today our speaker, John Hochheimer, will give us his perspective on finding hope in a very scary times, and they really are right now. They really are. So let's begin to heal by lighting our chalice, which is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Let me do this first. Oops. see. There. The words I've chosen this morning are by Edward Abbey. I chose these because I think our beautiful earth always heals me and gives me hope for the future, especially when I'm lonely and scared and of what might be coming. So Edward Abbey tells us the love of wilderness is more than a hunger for what is always beyond reach. It is also an expression of loyalty to the earth, the only home we shall ever know, the only paradise we ever need, if only we had the eyes to see. So I've lit the chalice, and now I'm going to take a little pottery bowl that I especially like, and I'm going to put a seashell in it. This represents a living creature, and put it in the bowl. All of you are invited to do this as well at home. Put a pebble or any other object in a water bowl if you'd like. This marks joys and sorrows and other feelings you may have during the service. You can put into the bowl as we do when we're together in the fellowship. Now please join us in singing our hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth, led by our choir director, Stephanie Reese. So we're going to mute everyone, and you can sing duets with Stephanie. So sing as loud as you want to. The words will be on your screen. Okay, the next part of our service are 4 readings, brief readings about hope, which is part of our process of healing, actually, isn't it? We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. Those are the words of Martin Luther King Jr. Howard Thurman said, "A dream is the bear of a new possibility, the enlarged horizon, the great hope." Samuel Smiles says, "Hope is the companion of power and mother of success. For whoso hopes strongly has within him the gift of miracles." And finally, Emily Dickinson wrote these famous stanza: "Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without words and never stops at all." So, now we come to our time in our service where we share our joys and sorrows. We begin with sorrows, and I'm quite sure we all have some, every one of us. There are things too that worry us, that are loneliness, missing family, worried about Tuesday and the following days. We open our hearts to you and each other. That's why we are here together. So please unmute yourself if you want to share a sorrow.
I have a concern that I'd like, and a lift. I talked to Owen this morning. He is having surgery this Wednesday. Today he is being picked up. It's all prearranged surgery. He's being picked up today for a COVID test, and will quarantine until Wednesday. He expects to at least be in the hospital overnight, one night. He's good on food and all the other necessity. He has a couple of people checking in with him as well as his worker. But I just wanted to let you know, and he said it was okay to share, but lifting Owen up this week.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Laura, for letting us know. Is there anyone else then, please? I think Jean will be the one letting people in. Is that right? Yeah.
Oh, hi, I'm Kurt Wilson. I have something to share. Carrie is currently with our child, Skylar, at the moment, so I can play, but many of you may know this already, but Carrie's oldest son, Corridon, has come down with stomach cancer. So this has been posted on Facebook, and there's a GoFundMe that's collecting a lot of money for him, and it's stage 3 or possibly stage 4. So he's got a whole series of radiation and chemo and things lined up in the near future. So hold him close, and hold Carrie and all of us close in your thoughts and meditations and healing energies. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other sorrows, concerns, worries you'd like to share? With the theme of healing this month, we certainly go to Corey and to Owen. If there's no other joys, sorrows, we will go to joy then. And I hope that all of us have some joy in us as well as the concerns and worries. And so now's the time to please share those. That's what our community is about, I believe, also to celebrate with each other. So please raise your hand if you'd like to give a joy, tell us about to the rest of us, please. Very good. Bob.
My joy is getting to see all you folks.
Yeah.
Getting to see your faces. can't tell you what a pleasure that brings to me.
It's great.
Right now, when I really need this lift with what's going on in
Yeah.
this country, Glenn McLaren sent me a link because he told me John was speaking and I wanted to hear what John had to say. And so I'm joyful by having this connection with you. Thank you.
Good, good, good. This is great to see you. Great. Anyone else?
I have something to share. I'm going to leave video off, but so some of you may not know us because we don't get to go there all that often. But my wife Elisa and I were married in the Unitarian Church, and we have a joy to share. We just gave birth to a daughter on October 7th, so she's about 3 weeks old now. And we decided to not show video because we're trying to deal with feeding her at the moment. But but she's been a wonderful little girl and has brought us a lot of joy in this time where we're worried about the pandemic and so much else. So we just wanted to share that with everyone.
This is great. Thank you. Thank you.
Looks like Candy has one.
Yeah, can everybody hear me? Okay, yeah, I have a couple of joys. One is that I went ahead and made the decision to adopt little Blackie Kitty, the kitty I'd been taking care of for Christine. And he's sort of in transition right now, which is a bit of a concern. He's terrified of other cats, and so we're trying to get him habituated to Spooky's scents and just brief sights of him, and we keep them separate, although free to visit with each other under the door, so to speak. But anyway, it's a joy to have this rollicking, happy little kitty here with us. He seems to have adapted well to living inside. My other joy was that yesterday Halloween was really fun. John and I got together with our two sons who live right here in Carbondale, and my son Johnny and Hannah have this house in town now, and they had all sorts of really great outdoor decorations, and they figured out a way to make Halloween safe for the kids in the neighborhood. They hung a cauldron on one of those little iron hooks, put it out by the sidewalk, and we made a fire in the fire pit in the front yard, and we were safely back, all safely masked. Thankfully, most of the people in their neighborhood were too, and we were able to see this wonderful parade of little kids in cute costumes and let them reach up into our cauldron and have some treats. And then afterwards, after it was all over with, we went inside with everybody, well, Johnny and Hannah and Paul, and watched a scary movie and then went home. So, two joys.
Good, good. Yes. Yes. New young life. This is great. Wonderful. Yes.
Linda, it looks like Linda has.
I have something to share. Our dear friend and colleague in Cuff, Laura Basanta, and her lovely husband, Gene, put together a roll-by yesterday, which I was fortunate enough to participate in. What a joy. I don't know if I got more joy out of meeting with 10 of our rather isolated Cuff members, or if they got more joy out of it. It was such fun to go to each of their houses and stand and visit for a minute and sing songs together. And hopefully we brought a little bit of happy to all that we were able to see. It was wonderful. Thank you, Laura, for putting it together.
That's right. Good. Very good. Oh, good. John.
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody, I decided to spend Halloween in McCanda, and with all the costumes, nobody seemed out of place in McCanda because it's McCanda. And a wonderful time was had by all, and the ghosts and the goblins seemed right like they belong there. And so happy Halloween, one and all.
Good.
It was a beautiful fall day too.
Yes. It was. It was gorgeous yesterday. Lovely. Today too. Mhm. I have a brief joy myself. It's the woolly bear caterpillars that are out. They've emerged, and I like to see those. So I even on roads, if I don't, if I do it without safely, I swerve to avoid running over them. Oh, God. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Well, for all the sorrows and joys that we've shared aloud together and have kept silent in our hearts and in our community, we observe a moment of silence. Just as we share our sorrows and joys in fellowship, we share our financial resources with the congregation as our circumstances allow. During the pandemic, some of us are experiencing hardship and others are relatively unaffected financially. So we appreciate the generosity of spirit, time, effort, and money of all during these challenging times for the good works of the fellowship and with the congregation and beyond. So please make your checks payable to CUF on the memo line and mail them to CUF, or online, we now accept PayPal. The link is in the bulletin and the order of service email, and we thank you for your generosity. Now let us join listening to our offertory music by Kurt Wilson. Thank you, Kurt. As always, your music brings me great peace. Thank you very much. This morning now, John Hochheimer will share his message, which is titled Finding Hope in Scary Times. I'm very glad John is a member here, and I'm very glad to have gotten to know him especially the last year through our covenant group that we share. John is a retired professor of journalism from the university. And in his life of research and personal exploring, he's traveled all around the world to observe humans and appreciate human beings and culture and also the natural world. So, John, when you're ready, we would like to hear your presentation.
Thank you. As I've been pondering our upcoming election these past many months, in the context of what has been transpiring upon our national and international stages, the following words keep coming to my mind. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. A Tale of Two Cities was written in 1859 by Charles Dickens. It is set in London and Paris before and during the French Revolution in 1789, as seen through the lens of an intervening 70 years. Such a tale could not have been written as events were unfolding in 1789 because no one then alive could, of course, had any way of knowing either the outcomes or the ramifications of what was taking place. Oh, and of course, Dickens wasn't born until 1812, 23 years after the fact. 2 days before Election Day 2020, we stand right now at the threshold of similarly seismic events. The political, social, economic, environmental, cultural foundations upon which so many of us had imagined the world to be based are in crisis. Not just here in Carbondale, not just in Illinois, not just in the United States, but all over the world, all at the same time. And for the first time in the history of the human experience, we can, each and every one of us, whether in Carbondale, Cape Town, Canberra, or Canton, all know about what is going on at the same time, react to their events, see their impacts, and most consequently, act. And act people have been doing. The murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, among too many others, have been met with demonstrations demanding justice all over the world, simultaneously. This has never happened before, never in the history of the human experience. Newly developed technologies broadly distributed have allowed this to be possible. We do know that people have been acting, and we can speculate on why they've been acting, but we can only guess what this means. Perhaps some future Dickens can frame it for us vividly in retrospect, but it is we who can and must act in real time. Fundamentally, however, what this means for us is that we will need to rethink many of the premises upon which our country's political, economic, cultural structures and processes have been based. The US Constitution was written and accepted by a small stratum of people who lived here, white men of property. Everyone else was excluded, overtly or implicitly. What progress has been made since 1789 has been the result of struggle, political struggle, economic struggle, the struggle for justice, all by people who have been demanding to be parts of the decision-making process. They have been demanding seats at the table of inclusion as a right, not as a privilege. We have come a long way just in my lifetime, to be sure, but we have a lot further to go. More globally, the European colonialism that has caused so much pain, suffering, exploitation, and loss throughout Africa, East and South Asia, across South America and Australia, not to mention in both the United States and Canada, and also Ireland, and also, as Sean Connery's recent death reminds us, Scotland as well. During the past several centuries, this colonialism has finally been coming to an end thanks to concerted action. As Carol Bush wrote in 2013, no matter how much someone agreeing with you might try to represent you, having the unique experience of being you and being where decisions are made means volumes more. All too often, if you aren't part of the decision making, you will get left out, or worse yet, get served on the menu. The voices demanding change need not be from what we've called established leaders. Think instead of a younger generation of voices right now demanding to be at the table in order to actively bring about change. I think of the Pakistani teenager Malala Yousafzai. I think of the Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg. I think of the March for Our Lives activists who have organized across the United States in the aftermath of the Parkland High School shooting. I can go on and on. The point is that a new world is coming into being, and it demands that more voices be heard, that more people participate. Their presence, their dedication, and their perseverance gives me great hope. It won't be easy. It won't be painless, to be sure, but the present system is crumbling under the weight of too many people too long denied, who are connecting themselves in ways never before possible in the history of the human experience. Change is not only possible, it's inevitable. I offer two examples. When I was working on my doctoral dissertation in the early 1980s, I kept coming across literature about the various peace initiatives being constructed and being run in Scandinavia, which raised the question for me, how is it that Scandinavia, which had been the culture of the Vikings after all, with their legacy of rape and pillage and murder and conquest, how did Scandinavia become the Center for Peace Initiatives, peace research, peace actions? Now, I've been to Scandinavia several times, and I'd ask people, and no one knew. No one could answer the question. But it's clear to me that whatever happened, it certainly wasn't people just waking up one day after having pillaged and raped in the latest area of conquest. Let's stop this. Let's do something completely different. Had to be something else. Anyway, after years of exploring this question, I was having dinner with a friend who's a history professor at a university in Budapest. And I asked him the question, and he said, oh, that's easy. It's very simple. They got the shit kicked out of them. What do you mean? Well, they came upon a larger force. The larger force devoured them, and they realized if they kept acting in the same way, they'd get the stuffing kicked out of them again and again and again. And so they sought different ways of being. Years later, I brought a group of students to Hiroshima, Japan. Took them to the museum there. The first room you enter when you walk into the Hiroshima Museum has about 30 feet high walls. And in there are stories about what Hiroshima had been before the bomb had dropped. Hiroshima is where 5 rivers converge as they empty into the sea. And in Japanese history, it had always been a center for military action because of the naval superiority of the Japanese fleet. With the dropping of the atomic bomb in 1945 and in its aftermath, the people of Hiroshima recognized that it was their militarism that brought this tragic event to them. And they resolved to never again wage war. And once you go through the museum, and that's where all the exhibits are and pictures that many of us have seen, the last room is filled with letters. Each letter is a letter from the mayor of Hiroshima to the leader of any country in the world where a nuclear device has been tested, saying that in the name of the history and the memory of the people who perished in the atomic bomb blast of 1945 in Hiroshima, they say, war is not the way, peace is the future, we must act. We must act. It is not easy, but we must act. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. declared the night before he was murdered 52 years ago, we've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. The mountaintop. Since his passing, within the last 15 years, consider this, a Black man was twice elected president of the United States. An openly gay man running for president has been widely recognized as a national leader on the rise. Indeed, he is the first openly gay person to have won a state primary when he came in ahead of Bernie Sanders in the Iowa caucuses this past February. A Black woman who is also of South Asian descent may well be the next vice president of the United States as she and her running mate promote a politics of inclusion for the too long denied. According to today's New York Times, grassroots Latinx groups are playing significant roles in the current Florida presidential race. As Dr. King said the night before he was murdered, I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. Moses famously was not allowed to get to the promised land, although he had been allowed to see it. The same was true for Mohandas K. Gandhi, for Wangari Maathai, for Nelson Mandela, for Harvey Milk, for Eleanor Roosevelt, for Ida B. Wells, for Paulo Freire. The same will be true for me and for you. And yet we study the lives of these great heroes to learn from their examples because their actions inspire us to engage on our own. With each and all of our efforts, the present order too shall pass. We have the power to make this happen for ourselves, for our children, including newborn babies, and with each other. That's why I became a teacher, to pose the question and to support my students in their quest to answer it for themselves, with each other, and with their children. Having done so for more than 35 years and having seen what they did and have been doing in the personal and collective acts of becoming themselves, I believe acting from hope is well worth the effort. And while it remains the eternal question before us, I believe, as Pandora discovered so many years ago, buried beneath all the ills of the human experience is hope. As long as our dreams and our actions are guided by our hopes, we give life meaning. As Viktor Frankl pointed out, the two are forever twined. Our dreams and our actions provide us with the foundations upon which to build a better future for ourselves and for each other, no matter what obstacles we face or imagine. I hope to see all of us seated at the table together, for we, both individually and together, can make this the best of times in an age of wisdom, emanating from both an epic of belief and incredulity to create a season of light. Together, may we continue the creation of the spring of hope. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That was a nice message.
could listen to you much longer. Thank you so much, Kurt. We have a few announcements now before we close. First, be sure to read the announcements in the email that was sent this morning with the order of service. We thank Amy Weber. Sunday services like this one are recorded and posted by her on the Cuff YouTube channel. So if you, during the week, you need a separate extra shot of community at any time, just type in the Carbondale Unitarian Fellowship in the YouTube search bar and you'll find us. Click on the playlist, you'll see a listing of our past services and music. Please join with us after the service for our final Mission Sustainability Listening Circle. We need one another and we want to know what your needs are. What do you see our future being in the next few years? So please stay with us after our benediction. And there's a special announcement about a really important Vespers service this Wednesday after the election. We'll be having a bonfire and music from 5 to 7 o'clock. Back, some can come inside, staying outside. You may come and go as you like. You don't have to stay for the whole 2 hours. You may sit and listen or quietly meditate. We invite you to write down your fears, your anxieties, your hopes, your dreams, your celebrations. Let's hope. Then you may burn the paper to release your thoughts and feelings. At 7 o'clock will be our usual Vespers service. People are invited to stay at the fellowship, 10 people inside or up to 30 outside. We will also live stream the Vespers on Zoom as always. Now let's please thank once again our musicians this morning, Kurt Wilson and Stephanie Reese. Thanks to Jean Basanta and Amy Weber for hosting the Zoom this morning. I want to thank Rhonda Kosmiski and her committee, Sunday Services Committee. She provides the scripts and organizes the services behind the scenes, but we need to know, and thank you so much, know about that. And we want to thank John Hochheimer for his meaningful message. I especially think we need to remember and celebrate and encourage the young in our country. Just like John said, this is the future. And I think the young are different now than they were when I was growing up, that's for sure. Thanks to all who were part of this service, which is each and every one of us here in the fellowship. And once again, newcomers, please stay and introduce yourselves in the coffee hour. And now it's time for our benediction. I chose the following words by Barack Obama. I think of him as our country's prophet. He spoke them in a time less perilous than we're facing now. And he didn't include everyone who makes up our country so diverse and inclusive. But for me, he speaks to the heart of our society in the ideal that we strive for and our hope for the future. This is what he said. I see Americans of every party, every background, every faith who believe that we are stronger together. Black, white, Latino, Asian, Native American, young and old, gay, straight, men, women, folks with disabilities, all pledging allegiance under the same proud flag to this big, bold, beautiful country that we love. That's what I see. That's the America I know. Now please join us for a sung benediction.
May the blessings of love rest upon you. May peace abide with you. May the
Go in peace for love and justice. Thank you.